This is Working for Progress, a podcast that connects us through conversations about how we craft our working lives and make progress. We'll be joined by our communities from Tribe Porty and Keystone. Tribe Porty is a community co-working space and creative hub. We are full of entrepreneurs, social enterprises, freelancers, charities and SMEs. Keystone is the other social enterprise which supports women to reimagine their working lives. We do this by providing a holistic approach to business through courses, programs, mentoring, group coaching and events.
Welcome to today's conversation. I'm Alice, the community manager at Tribe Porty.
And I'm Dani, founder and director of both Tribe Porty and Keystone.
Here at Working for Progress, we're all about connecting good people, sharing their stories, their challenges, and the progress they make for themselves and for others. We hope this podcast challenges your ways of thinking and inspires you to work for progress.
Working for Progress starts with simple pleasures, finishes in awe, and meanders through career journeys in between. Today we welcome Bob Cummins, creator and director of Sodak, a behavioural design agency which helps make safer, happier, less wasteful workplaces through behavioural insights. Welcome, Bob.
Well, thanks for inviting me on. Really pleased to be part of this. Yeah, well, Sodak. Do you want to know where the name comes from?
If you like.
I'll get into that in a minute. So we're based in Tribe Porty, hence I guess being on this podcast as well, although not limited to, just maybe people that are here. But we've been here right from the start. Sodak has been here, and we go into companies and we train people on behavioural science. We introduce them to behavioural science for specific purposes with the organisations about what they want to improve. So many of our clients work in the construction industry, because that was my background before this, and so still had many contacts there. And many of those clients actually want to use it to help improve health and safety. So we go in and we teach people the basics of behavioural science so they can create better environments, safer, happier, healthier work environments for their people.
Thank you very much. And so although we are not defined by our work, it's an important part of our lives, we want to know more about the person in this podcast as well. So simple start off question for you, Bob. Give us 5 simple pleasures in your life, please.
What? 5 simple pleasures? Oh my goodness. I like to say work.
Because there are no rules. You can say absolutely whatever comes to mind and don't think about it too hard.
Okay.
Simple.
Simple pleasures. Family. So watching the family grow, just sitting back and watching how much kids change, because you can see it quite quickly compared to ourselves, I think. Reflecting back on our change, on where we've come from. Our dog, Wonder, a simple pleasure. And how many is that?
That's 3.
That's 3. That's only 3.
You know that.
5 simple pleasures. Getting up in the morning. That's a simple pleasure, eh? I kind of like getting up before everybody else, as you know, and having a wee coffee by myself before there's anybody else kicking around, and I don't know, keeping fit. That'll do.
It's funny how people's simple pleasures are good insight into who they are as people, I think.
Is that giving you insight?
No, because I know you well. Nice segue to kind of values and what values you live by. Also, if you could talk about how those values are embodied in your work, if they are, and how they maybe come out through your work as well.
I pride myself on, and sometimes cause myself stress on, doing what I say I'm going to do. So it's big for me. If I say I'm going to do something, then doing that thing, and sometimes that can stress me out a bit as well. But that's definitely, I think one of my top values. Everything from keeping to if I've said I'll do something for the kids or you, Danielle, then making sure I do that and being mortified if I then don't and if I fail. So kindness. Try to be kind. I can manage most of the time to be kind and honest. So value honesty a lot and sort of good morals, that kind of thing. And sometimes I think maybe with the kids maybe forget who I was when I was younger. and try and overplay how maybe moralistic or honest I am in order to kind of be a pillar of shining example or light to them. But but they're kind of what I aspire to be. I think I do a pretty good job of those most of the time, but falter sometimes too. How they inform my work. It's a privilege to actually have formed a company that is doing something that I love, and I think that then meant I was able to kind of carve it into something that was aligned with my values, not on purpose. So especially when we help people in organisations create safer, healthier, happier workplaces, then that definitely kind of aligns with kindness, with integrity, with honesty. I can get really frustrated with my clients if I don't think they're being honest. I sometimes have quandaries about telling them if I think they need to be doing something different. Bear in mind they are my clients. So kind of truth to power and being honest with them when they're not doing what they should do is sometimes not a conflict, it's a challenge to do it in a way that they don't fire me, I guess. But one of our company values is truth over sales. So as in, if we don't think we're going to be able to deliver something to somebody, we stop working with them. It's happened a couple of times, but not often, thankfully. But yeah, that's kind of, so when our company values are people over businesses, truth over sales, and a mixture of integrity and honesty in there as well. So I think on reflection, I think we've managed to carve out a company that does something very similar to my personal morals, which is obviously good, because then it doesn't require much more thinking.
And did you work that way before you started Sodak, or is this only possible because it's your own business and therefore you can underpin it with the values that are important to you?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and I think I've always kind of, I think I had pretty good parents, so I think I had a pretty good steer. They were a bit religious, and so I was forced to go to church, and so there was kind of that guilt kind of moral stuff that you were pushed into, and then I left that behind once I made my own mind up about stuff. But I think some of that had stuck, some of that kind of honesty and truth thing had definitely stuck from there. But also in one of the companies I worked for, we went on this program called Transformation, and it really pushed everybody in the company to be to discuss what integrity was, to really be honest, to really give hard feedback to yourself and to people, and that was actually quite life-changing. And I was only 26, I think, at the time we went through it, and it was a massive investment for the organisation. But there was so many people benefited from it, and many more individuals benefited from it than the company. But that gave me a really good grounding, I think, for okay, so it's really important at work to be honest with people, to be honest with the company you work for, to be loyal to the people you're working for as well. But you're looking for that kind of stuff back as well from the people you're working with.
And do you find that honesty over sales, truth over sales, easier as time goes on and your confidence in running your own business, or is it always a bit of a challenge? It's always a kind of, we need to make sure our North Star is strong, and how do you cultivate that?
Yeah, it is difficult, especially when it's sometimes to be feast or famine. We used to have a slide actually in our courses that said we only work with people that give a fuck. We changed the wording after some feedback from some of the clients, but
were they American clients?
So, yeah, they realised how difficult it was to swear in America.
Yeah. But
it was in there right from the start. It was difficult, and can be difficult if there's no work there. So it's definitely easier when you've got work. I think anybody, or most people rather, many people find it difficult to say no. especially if they're running their own business and small business, whether it's themselves or whether they've got employees. It's difficult to say no to stuff. But we've managed to, I think, we managed to attract, very much actually similar to you, with Tribe, managed to attract people of the kind of same vibe. So our clients are very similar. We get most of our work, we don't have to market, most of our work is repeat business or referrals from clients or people that have seen the stuff that we post on LinkedIn. It appeals to them and then they come sort of and make an inquiry. So that kind of selection of clients, if you like, through them contacting us usually means they're aligned, if you like, or ready for something a little bit different, which is a good filter, I think.
I think it's a good point, and I'm glad we're touching on it already so early on here, because I think it does give a bit more confidence for people to stick to their values and remember that it's important, and it will. I think it does pay off, because I think you attract the right kind of people and the people that you want to be working with. So thank you. Changing gears a little bit, what is the worst job, or if you don't have a worst job, the most random job you've ever had in your professional or, since you started working at any capacity?
Right, well, okay. Had to think about this one. So tatty picking's on the list.
Scottish one.
Just the pain on day 2 and day 3 after bending over and shoving tatties into a basket.
It's potatoes for our international listeners.
But you did get 80 quid at the end of the week, and that was spent on Levi 501s was the goal. Like to get that.
Was it your first job?
That was, I was 14, 15, so it was still at school.
Yeah.
And around about the same time it was stacking shelves at Fine Fair. So Fine Fair is no longer around, but Fine Fair was one of the cheaper supermarkets before kind of the Aldi's and Lidl's of the day. It was kind of one of the original cheap supermarkets. So you got given your grey coat and your box cutter as part of the, and got searched every day, every evening at the end of the shift to see if you'd stolen anything. So obviously very trusting. Then the random ones, right? So yeah, this made me laugh when I remembered these. So painting lines on speed bumps in an army camp. How random is that, eh? So I was working in a place, in an army camp up near Carnoustie, and one of the jobs that we had to do was repaint the lines on the speed bumps, and I got given it, and so off I went in my car. I think I was only 17, so off I went in my little yellow Ford Escort, with a big tub of paint and a roller, and painted all these speed bumps. But what was cool about it though is there was like destroyed tanks like lying about on the side of the road, so every so often I would get out and like go and crawl in the tank and have a look.
It sounds very dystopian.
It kind of was, yeah. And then another random one which was kind of scary was screwing kick plates and push plates, so the things on the doors, that push against that you don't really want to touch these days, screwing those onto doors inside a juvenile prison. And that was scary, because again I was only young. I had to have a guard with me all the time, and the juvies would go past. They would like be spitting on you. They would be like cursing you. They'd be threatening to do other things to you. And yeah, that was kind of scary and random and not very nice.
It's like Scared Straight program.
Scared Straight.
So some of those, well, all of those really were kind of more physical jobs, not a lot of cognitive requirement. Is that why they were worse jobs, or just because they were starter jobs?
I quite liked painting the lines on the speed bumps. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've the Fine Fair one, stacking shelves was a bit boring, but it was also good to have a job. It was just, you were young and you. I don't think I've actually had jobs that I've hated. I've thought about this before. I've been really lucky and never had a job I really hated. I mean, I say that, but one of the last ones I had before I started up Sodak, it was a big construction project through the middle of Edinburgh, which many people know about, went a bit wrong.
Just say it.
Edinburgh trams. And the first version of it, and that was a horrendous project to work on. but I grew so much from it, and that's where I learned most about behavioural science as well. So it was without that experience, then I definitely wouldn't have been as the company now, Sodak, wouldn't be as successful as I don't think.
I do think it's interesting as well that you obviously work with something that has quite a strong academic feel to it. So the thought that actually that's come from quite a physical job rather than the general lineage of going to school, doing your A-levels or whatever it is now, and then going to uni to study. I
did okay at school, but I didn't want to go to uni straight away, so I got a job on a construction site when I was 16, and like the lowest paid job, apart from maybe the cleaner, but like second lowest, I guess then, 70 quid a week. It was less than tatties actually, if I think about that. And hang on a minute, something's wrong there. And it was a chain ladder engineer's assistant, and then they offered me actually to put me through college, but it would have taken 4 years. I'm like, nah, it's all right. I'll go myself. So I put myself through a course in college, which was a year, but even then it was only an HNC. And then it wasn't until, because I just wanted to get out and work, and did that, and then became an engineer, and wasn't until later on that I then did a postgrad certificate in occupational health and safety, and now I'm doing my PhD.
I think what I like about that narrative as well is I think on kids these days there's such a strong need for them to know what they want to do when they're really young. So when you're 16, 17, you're deciding these specific subjects and deciding what you want to do as a degree, but life doesn't work like that. Like, you don't know what you want to do at that age.
Yeah.
I think it's sad that there's such a pressure on it.
Yeah, it is, and there's no real right or wrong, and it, other than I definitely liked what I did, and it was because that's what my dad did. My dad was in construction, so it was a kind of easy follow through, because I'd seen him. He used to take me to construction sites, and I used to sit in the diggers and stuff. So I guess my choices were kind of framed early on, in that's the direction I'm going to, and I hadn't thought about anything else. Which sometimes I did have reflections of a little bit of regret about, well, what else could I have done? Because I didn't feel as though I had a choice when I looked back. But actually, it's all been pretty good, so happy enough.
On that note, what's the biggest risk you've taken in your career journey to date?
Well, that would be setting up Sodak. So leaving employment, that world that you think safe, but it's not really that safe, is it? But it gives you the impression that it's safe being employed. And then going first into just a consultant. So I was lucky enough that this chap, David, gave me a job 3 days a week. And then that turned into 5 days a week, initially for 6 months. It could have been less, actually. I think it was 3 days a week for 4 months. But I worked out the figures, and it was enough to like jump ship. Had no savings or anything. And I'd just gone through marriage breakup, so I had no money. And thought, what the heck? And maybe those circumstances helped make that decision as well. And that allowed me to get, because I think you feel, and I think it's right, you do need a little bit of money in the bank. Not much, but you need maybe 3 months mortgage or something at least to kind of make a decision of jumping off the employment wagon. So that allowed me to get that. And then slowly I just got a little bit more work. A lot of it wasn't even behavioural science to start with. It was just consulting and project management. And then ended up working with a guy that did teach behavioural science, learnt a lot from him. Then the second kind of biggest risk was actually leaving that group that I worked with and rewriting all the material that we were using and starting again and creating what is Sodak now, which I'm so glad I did. And thanks to you too for helping with that decision, Danielle.
Why did it feel like a risk leaving that group? I think it's just interesting to talk about, because a lot of people, the familiar becomes safe, but like you said, it's not necessarily safe for your development and your growth and where you want to go. So why did that feel like such a risk to leave that group?
And that one could have even been even more scary than actually leaving employment. Because that group was kind of there when I left employment, and I was able to at least speak to other people, and I learnt behavioural science with them and got a lot of work with them as well as my own work. So then, and I won't go into the details, but it got a bit toxic, just some of the relationships in this group. And so it was evident, well, what happened, we were doing ULAB in Tribe. So ULAB's a MOOC, massive open online course. And something that Scottish Government had experimented in. I think we were the second group in Scotland to go through it.
And the biggest group in
Scotland. And it was stuff that I was a wee bit out of my comfort zone with it. But it forced you to do a lot of reflection on where you were and what was blocking you, so the timing for me was really good because it forced me to look at some of the things that wasn't quite happy about with the group I was working with, and I guess that also helped give me the confidence of breaking away. But the scariest thing about that was this was then me completely going on my own with no group, and then not wanting to take any of their materials, so deciding to rewrite everything, which was a mammoth task. But in the process wrote a book, which was fantastic. Did Artist's Way at the same time, remember that?
Changed man.
So there was lots of these things, and lots of these opportunities, I guess, because of the space that you'd created at Tribe, which was ULAB. One of the main tenets of ULAB was create the space, wasn't it? Which really aligned with Tribe. Tribe was physically creating a space, but also like emotionally or psychologically creating a space for people as well. So ULAB really aligned with Tribe and then create the space which I guess was safe. Then, so the psychological safety, I guess, is formed with people when you look back on it. And so if you've got other people that you can go through a journey with, then that makes it easier. So the prospect of me leaving this group, but I had another group, I guess, to go to too. So it wasn't just totally going out on my own. So that really helped. So
I love that because it's a beautiful example of community, and we don't often talk about the risks of leaving work because of the relationships within that work, but quite often they're really powerful. They're strong. If you've been with an organization for 10, 20 years, that's kind of all you know, and it's almost like you're leaving your parents, or you're leaving the familiar that you know, and that's scary to do, even when it's not good. I mean, how many of us have had bad relationships that we should have left and we never did because it was familiar, or because we didn't know any better, or we weren't quite ready to leave? But we don't often talk about that. We talk about negotiating our salary. We talk about negotiating our working days, our working hours, but we rarely talk about the impact the relationships have in our working lives as well. So I like that. I hope that we talk about that more with people. That's good. And hopefully Tribe provides a little bit of that sense of community, that you feel safe and you belong somewhere. Hope give you a little bit more confidence to do other new things. Great. Okay, please guide us through an experience, could be work or otherwise, that left you with a feeling of awe. And we can talk about that more if you're not clear. Or you could talk about when you experience a state of flow. I
mean, I guess for me, the stereotypical kind of awe experiences of having children and grandchildren, grandchild that happened last year. That was awe. Every time I see it, awe.
In both senses.
I think that's it. I mean, I think births and deaths are often people recall, but it's the full circle of life, isn't it? So although it's wonderful because it's life, it's a moment of, I guess, the fragileness and the beauty and the wonderful kind of magicalness of life.
Yeah, magic was the word I was thinking of when you were talking there. But I also get like little bits of awe, little bits of magic when I observe then the kids doing stuff, like so, and I like our kids as well as our other kids, my kids, our kids, all of our kids, when they do things, like just little things when they change, and when you see them become little, just more entities of their own, and their little accomplishments that they have, and there's loads of, if you actually look And if you can slow down, there's loads of little awe moments and things. But I think on reflection, most of those come from looking at people you love, or for me, looking at people I love, and then seeing them have these accomplishments gives me a wee sense of awe. I include you in that as well.
I know, I feel like I'm late to disclose this, but Bob and I are married. So we would love to hear what you're working on at the moment in terms of your work. Kind of what's in between your teeth, or what excites you most right now with your work, or a project within your work?
What excites me most is when we do stuff that people are really enthusiastic about. So sometimes you can get just caught in the drudgery of just turnover of work, and then so this week, being away again and delivering a workshop and courses, and to be honest, I wasn't looking forward to the travel, or here's another course, but it's new company, new people, and they were brilliant. And that is when you remind yourself actually that it is individuals over company as well, and many of these individuals are really up for learning something different and find what we teach really useful and really helpful. And sometimes they'll email us and to say thank you for changing their lives, like literally like words like that, and that's amazing. So that's what I like about what we do. So trying to do more of that. We seem to be. I never thought I'd become a product making company, because a lot of the stuff we do is teaching, but we now kind of supplement what we teach with making kind of products. So conversation cards, briefing packs, various different things that will help people have to change the environment they work in. That's quite exciting to see people use our products and then get benefit out of them as well. And then so trying to come up with new products. Never thought I'd be a designer of stuff, but that's pretty cool. In terms of what's next, it's just, I guess, just working out. It's always like there's no real change in what behavioural science has found recently, like in the last 50 years probably, maybe a few things. But what we try and do is change the message, like as in how can we make people understand it more about what's driving their behaviour. So how can we make the message clearer? So that's what we try and do. So it's always okay, they're not getting it yet, how can we make it clearer to them about how behaviours work, so they can really use this stuff to be healthier people, to be better parents, to be better partners, to be better managers or leaders or whatever it is they want to be. So that I think that's kind of what we're striving for. How can we just improve our messaging to make it easier for people to grasp?
On that note, what's your 5-year plan? Do you have a behavioural plan for yourself for your next 20 years? Where do you see yourself in 20 years? Is actually
20 years? Jesus.
I know. I feel like I should rein that back for
your older people. You're definitely not.
Let's say 10 years.
You can tell that there was a 26-year-old involved in writing these books.
Alice wrote that one.
I mean, listen, I'll still be around when I'm 70, but I don't expect to be doing what I'm doing just now. So part of my retirement plan is this next qualification I'm doing. So my PhD thing, malarkey, which then hopefully just allows me to do part-time work of consultancy type. So a little bit of a badge, just to make it me more employable, I think, without having a company behind me. But yeah, it's only recently actually I have thought about, I've created something that people rely on to a certain extent. That people use. I've created something that people use, as in Sodak, and that employs some people. And then it's like, but I won't be doing this for all my life. So then what happens to the business? And that's like, that's only a recent realization that it's something to think about. But yeah, where am I going to be in a few years' time? I don't think I want to ever give up learning about this stuff, because I find it so fascinating.
Do you mean life is stuff or behavioural science?
No, all the stuff that. So when I say this stuff, I mean there's kind of a lot of spin-offs of behavioural science, philosophical kind of spin-offs. Stoicism or Buddhism or all these kind of, we think we're the kind of smartest folks, and actually a lot of people had come up with a lot of these ideas about how the world works before us, and I can't believe it's taken me until I was 45 until I read and even knew about some of the Greek philosophers and things, and so finding out a bit more about that, maybe that kind of stuff, reading, traveling, experiencing, maintaining health once I've got a little bit fitter, hopefully maintaining my knees.
Getting new ones.
Yeah, it's difficult to fully kind of think about what you want to do in 5 years' time. Now am I 20? I think
it's nice to think about, kind of through the lens of working for progress, how you can contribute to the world and the people in it differently when you're older, at a different kind of speed and energy perhaps, but also in a quite amazing way, having lived a bit longer than people that are just getting started in their work and whatnot. So instead of feeling like we're working to stop and then we've got nothing to contribute, it's actually to reframe that a bit, and what are the possibilities for the next 20 years.
Yeah, so that maybe then so that changes as well and grows. So good, yeah. So to pick up on your point there, it doesn't have to stop.
No.
It could change. It could be something that offers a different service as well. And I mean, one of the things I've always said as well is that Sodak, I don't just serve Sodak, Sodak serves me, and so Sodak gives me experiences. So my company is here to give me experiences as well. So maybe think a bit more about that, actually. Oh, yeah, thank you. Making me think there.
I think it's also interesting to think about this in terms of like legacy. So we think about what the normal construct is at the moment for retirement, and it is that you work to the bone and then you stop and then there's nothing, and you don't necessarily think about the legacy that your work has left as well. So I think it's interesting to think about how you as a business owner have a legacy there, and it's how do you promote the growth of the legacy before you step back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. When I did my impact economies training, they were getting us to think about our companies in 100 years' time. So nobody thinks like that though, but it's such a more valuable way to think longer term, how you could make a lasting impact, like thinking legacy much, much longer than we think about it now. I like that idea because then it's not so throwaway, or, you know, life is bigger than just you, and to do all that you can. I think it's nice to think about that. So, well, maybe I should ask, what will your work do in 100 years from now? We'll add that to the list.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, because then you can think about, well, because some companies that I think do think that are on the less than moralistic, you know, they're all for profit. Whereas if you're a company for good, then you've almost got a responsibility. So if Sodak does do good, so that's maybe a responsibility to keep it going in 100 years' time. What is then my responsibility if I've created something that does benefit society? Then I have a responsibility to keep that going somehow.
Yeah, good. We're all working for progress.
Thank you so much to Bob for joining us today. If you would like to find out more about Sodak, you can reach them at their website, which is linked in our bio. To hear more about Tribe Porty and Keystone, you can find us on all social media platforms. Please head over to our website and subscribe to our newsletters, which includes monthly blogs to provide helpful insights into how we craft our working lives. This has been Working for Progress. We hope you join us again.